Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about She-Ra. Again,
yeah.
It never dies. It never just
No,
goes
well,
away.
Twitter tries to make sure it doesn't go away.
That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about She-Ra in relation to Twitter and why studios, publishers, companies need to stop listening to Twitter, because Twitter is not the real world, and Twitter is easily gamed. If somebody wants to get something trending, it's actually very, very easy to do that. And then the media that lives on Twitter latches onto that and starts writing stories. Next thing you know, you think something is this great, big, huge deal, but then you look at your bottom line and it's not actually the case. It's not actually the case. So let's talk about that. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 202,000 subs.
We might be at 203 by the time this airs. Who knows?
Yeah, thank you so much for the support, guys. It's greatly appreciated. So yesterday, the hashtag She-Ra movie was trending once again for like the...
And for 4,000 tweets. I mean,
right.
It wasn't like there's a lot.
For like the 40th time, too.
It was like, 100 people on their alt accounts.
They have like more DreamWorks She-Ra. We want more She-Ra. The people doing this are, I believe, borrowing a play from the K-pop stan playbook and trying to get hashtags to trend, thinking that the companies are going to be like, wow, it got 4,000 tweets today. Let's sink another $20 million to this project and see what happens. Maybe this time it'll stick. So She-Ra movie was trending. We're like, oh, of course it is. Well, then the media decides
This person's somebody who writes about She-Ra crap all the time.
Right. And it's really interesting to see how this works, because we've been talking about how the comic book industry in particular has been listening to Twitter to their detriment. They've got a very distorted view of where their customers actually are and what the vast majority of customers want to see. So they follow Twitter trends and listen to people on Twitter, and then they put material out there that lands with a thud, and they let their employees go out there and just spout off nonsense on Twitter, and it hurts sales. And then they're shocked. They're shocked when it turns out that 95% of the people that actually buy comic books or watch movies or play video games or whatever don't hang out on Twitter.
I know, right? It's like people have been telling you.
Shocking. Absolutely shocking. This is actually from Bounding in the Comics, who got Mark Miller's tweets, and Twitter journalists tried to push back and be like, that's impossible. Twitter's the end-all be-all of everything. And he's like,
that's not true. That's impossible.
That's impossible. And companies have chased Twitter clout to their detriment. Well, now She-Ra's trending again with There Will Be Blood, by the way.
It was yesterday. But
that He-Man...
I completely missed the There Will Be Blood reference underneath it. I thought you were being serious. But what the plot is, so I made up a fake plot because I didn't even catch There Will Be Blood.
Oh, yeah. Well, they had that Robot Chicken episode.
But I'm trying to figure out why there Will Be Blood trending with Boogie Nights. I'm just like...
Boogie Nights and She-Ra. What is going on?
New Roller Girl. Anyway.
Bo's got a very special gift. A special talent. Special purpose. Anyway, they're calling for a new movie. This is how it works. Twitter makes something blow up, whether it's legit or artificial. A lot of cases, it's a lot of bot accounts, alt accounts, making something artificially trend. And then journalists who basically live on Twitter latch onto it and write articles. Then the company's marketing department sees the articles on Monday morning, and they get this really false impression of what the public is clamoring for.
Well, Disney does it all the time too with the trends on Twitter. There'll be like no reason for that to have been trending, but all of a sudden it's trending because, it's Disney.
Yeah.
And we see it all the time. And if you track it back, it's like there's no reason why this would be trending. But it's suddenly trending.
There we go, guys. So this is sort of the anatomy of how these things work. So this is coming from comicbook.com. You said this writer actually writes a lot about She-Ra.
I'm sorry. Like, wait, what's up with this?
Glitter friends.
No.
Oh. There Will Be Blood.
There's like lots of like little
glitter.
There's sparkles everywhere, and then right on her crotch.
Yeah. She-Ra fans are looking for that movie on social media. It's been 2 years since the premiere of the Netflix mega hit. But
hit.
No,
okay.
no. What? Well, okay.
We're gonna talk about it now, or are we gonna wait?
Let's talk about that right now.
Okay.
So I have on pretty good authority that DreamWorks was actually pretty disappointed with the viewing numbers, and Mattel was very disappointed with the character designs because this wasn't something they could really convert into toys for children very easily.
But it was supposed to be a show for children, according to the original synopsis.
That's what it was pitched as. And of course, it turns out that it wound up being a show for young adults and teenagers and 30-somethings who need to get out of the house more.
Who were mad about prom.
Who are mad about prom. That's who wound up watching the show. None of these people bought toys. Mattel wants to sell toys. Now, they didn't have a whole lot of day-to-day input in this because DreamWorks produced it because of a licensing thing. But this probably explains why they're being a lot more hands-on with both of the new He-Man shows coming out and why there are toys available at launch.
They didn't have toys on the She-Ra one until the very, very, very end, and they were in clearance really fast.
Yeah, I don't think they knew how to tackle it, because they basically just reused some like Ever After High doll parts to make them, and they only had like 5 dolls.
Well, it's funny because people were like, well, those dolls have a lot of money now, ha ha ha. And it's like, no, that makes sense, because the last line of something, or like if something comes out at the very end, they don't make many. So they usually do go for more money. It in no way indicates how popular something was. It just indicates that they didn't have that many of that item. And so people will pay more for it because there weren't as many. It is not indicative of popularity.
Yeah, so that's what we have heard kind of back channel that it was.
It didn't do nearly as well as they thought with views and things.
Right. And Mattel was disappointed in the lack of revenue.
Oh, also, I want to point out that it was one order of episodes.
Yeah, we'll take the time because a lot of people aren't going to watch our whole video anyway. Yeah, so we're talking a lot about Twitter and how Twitter operates and all of this bullshit, and how you get stan accounts come in and they try to get you to basically hang yourself by talking more. And a lot of times they come in with half-assed facts, or they know that they're going to say something that's going to set you off so they can be like, you're just a bigot. So we did videos before talking about how She-Ra was canceled, and people were like, it's not canceled, there's still 2 more seasons coming. No, at that point, everybody had gone home.
Right, it was already filmed. It was already done. It was in the can.
Done.
By saying that, we weren't saying they weren't going to release those seasons. We were just saying that they're not making more past the initial 50-some episodes that they said from the beginning they were going to make, which technically is about 2 seasons, not the 5 they claim it is, because 6 episodes isn't a season.
It was a 52-episode order, basically 2 broadcast seasons broken up into Netflix seasons, when if you look at Voltron, DreamWorks did the same thing. They would leak out, 6 episodes, say, oh, it's a season. So we said, yeah, as far as we know, it's canceled, it's done. People are putting their resumes out there already. And a lot of people are no longer working on this. Noelle Stevenson was like bringing her standee home from the office. And people are like, Clownfish TV, you can't believe anything they say. They lie, because they said She-Ra was canceled and season 4 just is coming out next month. I'm like, you dumb bitches. Do you realize how long it takes to push an animated show through the production pipeline? Like, the stuff you're seeing today was probably being produced a year and a half ago. Like, that's how Thundercats Roar was canceled long before the last episodes aired.
Right.
This isn't live TV, right?
Right. So it was done. Production had wrapped
in April of 2019.
Right. It was over. And it was still like 50-some episodes, was always ordered and did not renew. It did not have more than what technically we would count as 2 seasons under most circumstances. Yeah. That's just the way it is. Sorry if you don't like it. But it didn't do that well, according to people we know on the inside. It didn't get the views they thought it would get. That's
why probably Mattel waited until the very end to do toys, because they probably took a look. Because look, this thing started production like 2016, 2017. They probably looked at it and they're like, we can't make action figures of these.
The irony is, if the toys had sold well, they probably would have made more episodes. And it's so ironic because all these people kept saying, well, the 80s was just to sell toys. It was just to sell toys. And you know what? Had it sold toys and been popular, they probably would have made more of it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. For all this talk about, toys being... With manga, with anime series, you look at how the production works, they actually sit down with the toy manufacturer when they're getting ready to launch a series, because a good chunk of the revenue comes from the toy sales, comes from the tie-in merchandise. There was virtually no tie-in merchandise this year. There were a couple of graphic novels, couple of t-shirts, Super 7 did like 2 action figures at the beginning, and Mattel did like 5 dolls. That's it. That's not sustainable. Okay? It's just not. It was a huge risk for them to do it, and it didn't play out the way they thought it was going to be. So, short answer, will there be a She-Ra movie? Highly unlikely, but who knows?
But they're out there trying so hard again and again and again. And you know what? If there is a She-Ra movie, they're going to probably base it on what happens with Masters of the Universe. But you know what? They're going to stop screaming about She-Ra here real soon anyway. Because if Masters of the Universe does go the way of Tila and the way they want it to, they're all going to jump on that anyway.
That's going to be the new ship.
That's going to be the new thing that they're all on. So they're going to stop talking about She-Ra here shortly anyway.
Yeah, so the Best Friends squad might never get a resolution, but the fan base is never going to give up trying. Twitter users were down to flood the app with the best fan art they could muster. Noelle Stevenson has been adamant that Hope might still be alive.
She's adamant for a job.
But there has to be the demand. Yeah, I don't know if she's doing anything. But like she had, look, I'm not throwing shade at Noelle Stevenson. I'm just saying, you know, from her point of view, she did She-Ra. She had like two movies in the pipeline with Fox, and I think they both got canceled. So.
Well, I'm sorry. I was just sitting here thinking about what I find funny is it's over. And I remember when people were like, well, we wanted She-Ra, but we wanted the classic She-Ra brought back. Well, you had your show. It was over. Go watch that. It's not for you. Well, then I guess your show's over. And if they do something else, it's just not for you.
I love this, though. They said Netflix is particular when it comes to the shows. You usually get 2 seasons, and it's time to close the curtain. They literally got
2 seasons.
2 seasons. If you take a 52 episode order, you split it in half. That's 2 26 episode seasons. That's what the budget allowed for. And I'm sorry, I don't know what else you call it when you don't order more episodes because they didn't want any more. Canceled. You call that canceled.
I know. And I love when they try to argue, nuh-uh, the new She-Ra show was popular, but more popular because it had more seasons. It's like... It didn't have more episodes.
Yeah. So this is interesting. So comicbook.com spoke to Noelle Stevenson about that
was back in 2019.
Yeah, the beloved finale.
So they're just repurposing all this that they talked about.
Yep. So yeah, would they love a movie? Yeah, they would. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I think, look, I'll tell you the truth. Again, not saying it won't, but just looking at the business side of it. If She-Ra was not financially successful for DreamWorks, which now DreamWorks is part of NBC, which is trying to save its own ass because, you know, all the stuff going on with streaming and consolidation stuff. And it wasn't profitable for Mattel. There's not going to be any more.
Yeah, sorry.
Because the show, even though a lot of people, you know, bust on the animation, it still is expensive.
Right, but beyond that, what gets me is because it wasn't profitable, because it didn't have stuff in it to sell to make the money, and that's the one narrative they keep going with. Well, because the original was shit because it was just made to sell toys, but it could sell toys.
It could have sold toys.
This couldn't sell jack shit.
The original She-Ra sold toys. In fact, they're still selling classic She-Ra toys. Very interesting that Mattel now, with all the new merchandise they're releasing for classic He-Man, Kevin Smith's He-Man, and this new weird CG He-Man they have coming out. So far, we haven't seen any new Noelle Stevenson She-Ra stuff at all. And I don't know if we will. She's I think she's going to go down in the history as the same as kind of like Space He-Man, where like people, yeah, there was Space He-Man. But people don't really talk much about it.
They're stepping over it even for like everything, the toys and all that's going back to the classics, including classic She-Ra. So I'm sorry. I guess you have your version of She-Ra that you like, and you may watch that.
Yeah.
I guess the other stuff isn't for you. You just have to get over it and move on. Understand that they're moving on another direction, and if you don't like it, that's just too bad. Cry harder.
Yeah,
So
right.
I think that was what people who didn't like the new She-Ra were told.
That is exactly what old school fans were told.
Just watch what you like. Keep doing your art that you want to do. But understand that just because you like it doesn't mean everybody likes it, and they're allowed. And if you're allowed to like that and that's your preference, that's fine. We always say here, you're allowed to like it. You're allowed to not like it. But you don't get to tell people they're bad people or call them names if they don't like it and they like the classic better. There's a lot of people who like both. So, you know what? You got what you got. You had it. It's your time. It's over. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not...
I mean, if you want to keep wasting your time, go ahead. That's up to them. As long as they're not attacking anybody. You know?
Yeah, that's where I have a problem with it.
But they always attack people.
Yeah, there's that. But yeah, look, I mean, this is what happens when these studios hire from Twitter and Tumblr and listen to Twitter and Tumblr, and I think they're starting to realize that, wow, this whole thing can be gamed. So at the end of the day, the companies, to survive, and a lot of them are in survival mode right now. We know Mattel is. We know Universal is having problems. Comcast is having problems, or at least NBC Universal is. They're gonna look at the bottom line and be like, what sells? You know, who's bringing the money?
And no matter how much you want to argue that makes something worse, or you know, it keeps it going.
That is the reality of the situation. Unless you personally have about $15 to $20 million laying around that you want to kick over to bankroll a made-for-TV She-Ra movie, that's the reality of the situation.
Yep.
So we're gonna wrap this one up. Okay, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.